Testing, testing.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Let's go.
What a week it has been.
Truly. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily, and welcome to What a Week.
You want it, we got it. We're bringing you the top news and pop culture stories you need to be in the know.
Let's get started.
So we're starting off with a little bit of sad news. It was announced after our recording last Friday that Chadwick Boseman died of colon cancer at only 43 years old. He went through chemotherapy and treatments since 2016, which was during his filming of, honestly, so many movies he's done. He was doing press for so many films like Black Panther and everything that we love him from. And the world truly lost a hero.
Yeah, they really did lose a hero, and he was actually getting ready to start filming the sequel to Black Panther in the fall. So obviously, Marvel right now has to kind of regroup and decide what they're going to do. But they've said that right now their main priority is just to focus on grieving and the loss and honoring him, and they'll figure out what's going to happen to the sequel later. But we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're now going to update you on a story we brought to you last week regarding Lionel Messi. So, the soccer star is staying with FC Barcelona for one more season to finish out his contract. In an exclusive interview with sports website Goal, he said he's staying with the La Liga team because they aren't letting him break his contract. He said, quote, "I'm going to continue in the club because the president told me that the only way to leave was to pay the 700 million euro clause, and that's impossible." There is a way for him to get out of the contract, but he would have to take the team to court, which Messi says he doesn't want to do because he loves the club. It's a club that gave him everything, and his last thing that he would ever want to do is take him to court. So for right now, he's staying for one more season. Let's see what happens after next year.
I feel like that's going to be some drama, no?
Oh, 100%. He was saying, I mean, this story, the more you read into it, the messier it gets. But yeah, it's just it's really petty. They didn't let him leave because he was supposed to say something by June 10th. And he waited until 2 weeks ago, so August. And and he's like, I didn't want to say anything June 10th because we were in the middle of a pandemic. And now they're holding that against him. And it's just it gets really messy. But yeah, we'll see what
the gosh. That'll be so interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I agree. And now to some more tea.
Oh my gosh, the royalty.
The royalty. So, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are making money moves, literally. So, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex just signed a multi-year deal with Netflix to make documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows, and children's programming with their yet-to-be-named production company. Harry and Meghan could, quote, make an appearance in shows, but a representative told the LA Times Meghan has no plans to return to acting. The couple said in a statement to the LA Times that, quote, their focus is on creating content that informs but also gives hope. Netflix hasn't confirmed how much the deal is worth just yet, so we don't know exactly how much money they cashed in for this. And just a quick recap, as most of you might remember, Harry and Meghan announced they were stepping down as working members of the British royal family in January. Shortly after they stepped down, they briefly moved to Canada before relocating to LA in March, but it wasn't a permanent stay. They bought a $14.7 million home in the Santa Barbara community of Montecito earlier this summer, where Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres also live.
Wow. I did not know that. I didn't even realize, I just, think of them as royalty. I knew they left, but I was like, they don't live in America with us. You know what I mean? That's so wild.
They totally do. And they're totally going Hollywood, which I think everyone, I totally expected that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Meghan also did come out with she voiced a kind of I don't know if it's a docuseries, but she voiced something for Disney that does highlight Africa. So it's not her first thing that she's done, or this isn't the first project she's signed on to since leaving the royal family. I mean, they have to make money, right? I don't blame them, but
I know. See, my thing is, I've always really liked them. I knew nothing about the royals until I worked at E! And everyone's obsessed with the royals, so then I kind of learned about everything going on. And it's just I think a lot of the criticism with Meghan lies in kind of, obviously it has a lot of sexist and racist tones with her criticism. I like her. I think she's awesome. I think, like, people probably have just this conception of, like, what a royal is supposed to be, which is so, like, outdated at this point, that I think that's where also a lot of the criticism lies. I mean, I'm all for it. I think a lot of what they do is meant to be educational and meant to be purposeful. It's like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not like they're making just like random shows. Like, these are meant to be educational and help people. So I think it's awesome. I like that they're making their money. I'm all for it.
Agree with you. I mean, I agree. I have some thoughts. So first of all, I think everything they do, it has a purpose, and it's definitely very well thought out. They aren't gonna just cash in on some random movie just to make money. I think they actually do want to make change and do better. I do like Meghan. I do like Harry. The only thing I wasn't really like happy, I guess, the only thing I was like about is how they left. They just kind of abruptly left and didn't really say anything. It was kind of just like a big bomb that they're like, we're tipping out, and everybody just had to kind of pick up the pieces, which I just thought was like kind of shady. Like, if they were going to leave, I just thought they could have gone about it a little bit better, opposed to just dropping the bomb. Especially, like, they were only married a year before they left, or about a year. So it's just like, oh, like, you just wanted the title and then dipped out. Like, I don't know. But I do like Meghan. I do like Harry. I think I'm excited to see what they come up with Netflix. Curious if they're going to be actually in any of these documentaries. And I think no matter what they do, people are going to criticize them because people just love to hate them, which is so sad. It's so sad. And, like, I think Meghan's definitely been through the ringer since she's joined the royal family, which is not fair at all. But I'm excited to see what they come up with and see how they educate us.
I know, I'm so excited. I will be binge watching that I can tell you.
Yeah, me too. And now we're switching gears again. We're keeping it moving to a very exciting topic. I'm so excited to talk about this. So I don't know how many of you watch Dancing with the Stars. I used to watch it when I was younger and I stopped. But it's back for its 29th season after taking a year hiatus, and the lineup is wild. Literally. Wild. So I feel like Dancing with the Stars always has a pretty random cast. And this year, they didn't disappoint. It's equally random. So we have the infamous star of Tiger King. No, not Joe Exotic.
The woman accused. Joe Exotic.
Yeah, he kind of sucks. It's the woman accused of feeding her husband to the tigers, none other than Carole Baskin. And we, like, need to watch this video that she did.
Oh my god, I'm so dancing. Nervous.
So, okay, let's watch it.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carole Baskin, and I can't wait for you to join me on Dancing with the Stars. My first thought was, I wonder what star they'll put me with. I would rather work with apex predators like lions and tigers. They are a whole lot less scary than getting out there on the dance floor. I can't wait to see what kind of costumes they come up with. I know I'll wear just about anything, and that I just love cat prints.
Oh my god.
My husband says for me to win the mirror ball is going to take a miracle.
I am so excited to be the new host of Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, Tyler.
Monday, September 14th, we'll be back in the ballroom live.
Oh, well,
okay, I will say, this excites me.
And you will not
love
believe
Dancing
who's
with the
dancing
Stars.
this season.
Dancing returns
I love it.
September 14th on
This
ABC.
really excites me. I mean, like, Carole, like, what a character. What I love, listen, I think I only watched maybe half of Tiger King. I didn't finish it. I found all the men completely...
How did you not finish it?
Oh my god, I just was like, all these men are insufferable. And then Carole Baskin, I fully believe she did not kill her husband. Like, fully. Like,
what?
I don't think she did. I think, because what's wild is they painted Joe Exotic as this, like, likable character. But he sucks.
I hated him. I thought he sucked the whole time.
I think a lot of people maybe, like, I don't know. They like to make caricatures of him, I guess. Like people were like dressing up as him, like all that. So I think it made him into this like likable figure in a way when like he's so awful. Like I think Carole Baskin, the way they compared her to their awfulness is by being like, oh, she doesn't pay her volunteers, which is bad. Not saying that's good, but it's like I think they needed to find something about her to make her unlikable, which was this like rhetoric of, oh, she killed her husband, which I don't think so. I think he sounds like he sucked.
I think everyone on that show sucks. Except the girl who got her arm chopped off.
Oh, yes.
And the
that
person
was rough.
Who was like in charge of like keeping like the groundskeeper kind of at the whole thing. I feel like he doesn't suck as much either. But overall, I feel like every single person in that series for the most part is shady. And I don't like any of them. I don't think any of them are particularly good people, again, except the person who got their arm chopped off and the groundskeeper. But I agree with you. I do think people liked Joe Exotic not because he was a good guy, because he wasn't, and I don't think the show particularly tried to make him, especially towards the end, they didn't try to make him like the hero. But I feel like everyone was just like, it came out at the start of quarantine. Everyone was just like, this guy is so just like out of pocket and crazy. Like, it's like, this is great TV. And that's what made him like famous. Like, everyone was just obsessed. But I mean, I do maybe believe that Carole killed her husband. But I until proven otherwise, I feel like she might have. But I mean, this is going to be great TV. I'm excited. I honestly can't wait to see what outfits they put her in. And
I'm so excited. She's like, honestly, just watching that video, like she's so like, I love it. Like, I love that she's this also like caricature kind of too. Like, she's like, hey guys, like, what's up? I'm going to wear some costumes. Like,
she's
I love
like
that.
living
I love
for
a good
this
character.
So joining Carole in the competition for the mirror ball is It's Getting Hot in Here rapper Nelly.
I'm excited.
I know you are. Bachelorette star Caitlin Bristow. Cheer coach Monica Aldma, which I'm very excited for. Disney Channel alum Skai Jackson.
Okay, that's who I'm most excited for. I love her.
I feel like she's gonna be good. I feel like she'll be one of the top contenders.
I think so too.
And our girl Selling Sunset's favorite, Chrishell Stause.
I'm trying to forget that her last name is not Hartley anymore. I'm like, sorry, girl.
He likes I mean, I feel like there's two. I understand the whole Davina thing. There's two sides to every story, blah, blah, blah. The way she said it in the show was shady, though. But I'm also just like, if he really did divorce her and she found out through text, that's really shady.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, even if there's two sides of the story, like, he still did what he did. Like, even if they were already fighting, even if they were already, like, about to get a divorce, him texting her that, like, that's so fucked. It's so fucked.
100% agree. And, I mean, I'm excited that she's, like, really, like, the star of that show. And I feel like she's going to do really good on dancing. So, I'm excited. This is going to be a good season. I'm actually going to probably watch again. They got me. So, when Dancing with the Stars returns on September 14th, you're also going to see a new host, Tyra Banks. So
oh my gosh.
She'll be smizing throughout the whole series this year.
Yes. I mean, as a former America's Next Top Model stan, like, when I was in elementary school, I would be like, Mom, I'm sick, when I wasn't that sick, and I would just watch, like, marathons of America's Next Top Model. I loved that show. Like, so I'm so happy to see Tyra hosting this.
Yeah. I think she'll make it, like, fun and more hip.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Switching gears again, right, Alex?
Yes, so this is definitely not a lighthearted subject, but we felt it was really important to kind of dedicate a little segment, or not a little, this is going to be a long segment, but dedicate a segment talking about everything going on with coronavirus. So as you all very well know, coronavirus is still here and still spreading as much as ever. As of this recording, there's been more than 6.22 million cases in America alone, with more than 188,000 deaths. Just California has had more than 732,000 cases, and cases are on the rise in 26 different states. Just this week, kind of in, like, public figures that have gotten coronavirus, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, his wife Lauren, and their two young daughters, they're like 2 and 4 years old, tested positive for coronavirus. They contracted the virus from family friends, which is what he said in a video. And I think this just serves as a reminder for everyone that if The Rock can get it, literally this strong human like man, anyone can get it and you can be affected by it too. And it doesn't matter if you're just seeing people here and there. It's a virus. That doesn't matter to a virus, and you're just as susceptible to getting it as people who you imagine are like going out and going to parties. Like if you're just seeing like two family friends, like you can still get it. Robert Pattinson also tested positive just days after they resumed production for Batman, which means they had to stop everything again during their production. And I think it's really important to share this information constantly because our government is kind of telling us that everything's getting better by allowing schools and restaurants and gyms to open back up when that's not the case. So according to top health officials, more than 410,000 Americans could die from coronavirus by January 1st, 2021, which would more than double the current death toll. I hear so much conversation, especially on Twitter, that we just need to get to 2021. Like, this is all 2020's problem. We just need to get there and it'll all be okay. Yeah, but the reality is, if action doesn't happen, we're only going to continue to see people die who would not have died otherwise. And that death toll that they're projecting is if we're still taking the precautions that are currently being taken. They were saying
taking it seriously.
Yeah, no one's taking it seriously. I mean, they were saying if we literally stopped doing everything and just resumed quote-unquote normal life, we would be at well over 600,000 deaths by end of the year. So this is even with the precautions that we're taking currently. And this is just a side note, and I refuse to honestly entertain it any further than this because it's so outrageous, but any conspiracy you heard about the 6% is false. Every single COVID death that has happened has been because of COVID. Just because someone is older or has underlying conditions does not mean that they deserve to die or that they died from any condition that they may have had. This means if they got COVID, they got it, and complete negligence from our country is what killed them. They would not have died if they didn't have it otherwise. So, according to the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, near universal mask use would cut the number of projected fatalities by more than half. Let me repeat that. Mask use would cut the number of fatalities by more than half.
Wow.
I know I saw a statistic like a month or two ago that was saying if just 80% of Americans wore masks, like, we would not be where we are now.
Can we just talk really quickly about people wearing a mask?
Mm-hmm.
It is like actually... It really gets me upset. It really gets me started when people don't wear a mask. And it's really frustrating as a millennial, Gen Zer, the cusp, as I think we both are.
The cusp, yeah.
It's just really frustrating to go on Instagram and to see that 80% of the people on Instagram that I follow are posting pictures of themselves going out and doing all these things. And it's just so annoying because I literally saw a friend from middle school with a celebrity that I know go on a boat on a weekend. And the boat was like a pretty small boat. It had like 20 to 25 people on there. They were sitting on top of each other partying. Like, what?
So ridiculous.
And they were, of course, all under 30. Like, super young, just like living their best life over the summer. It's like, you're not supposed to be living your best life. Like, coronavirus is affecting every single person in the world. And like, boo-hoo. I'm sorry that one summer of your life you have to kind of stay indoors. Like, I'm sorry if you don't have a pool. I don't have a pool. Deal with it. Like, it's just so frustrating. And the people that refuse to wear masks because they think this is just a lie, it's just also very frustrating. And they're so selfish. And it's just super hard to understand. Like, I'm sorry that wearing a mask is inconvenient to you, but people getting COVID and dying is not okay.
Totally. I mean, it's just a lack of... I don't know if it's a lack of, like, understanding the gravity of which, like, what's going on is going to affect literally, like, it's like the butterfly effect. Like, your actions are going to direct, like, other actions. It's like, I read this story, this was, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. My whole gauge now when I say time is, like, a month or two ago, because I'm, like, everything's the same. But some woman was talking about on Twitter, I think she's a comedian, I'm sorry, I don't know her name at the moment, but she had tweeted that her mother died from COVID, and her mother was living in a nursing home. She was living in the nursing home because this was supposed to keep her safe. And she believed, because of the time, kind of like how the time went, that how her mother got it was probably from someone going out during Memorial Day weekend back in May and kind of like spreading it to someone who like either was working at the nursing home or like was related to someone working at the nursing home or a visitor, something like that, and ended up spreading to her mother in the nursing home who's vulnerable and ended up dying. And it's just like, you don't, like, your actions are directly affecting other people. And I don't know, I don't know how to like emphasize that more.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. And that's the thing. I mean, I put that in my notes. I think we imagine the people who aren't wearing face masks are like your typical Karen, like just showing up to a store without a mask, which true. Yes, that's those people. But we have to think about the people who are hanging out in groups, who are going to parties, or who are even going to restaurants with people not in their household. I mean, you're sitting at this small table with no masks on, with people not in your household. And the study is talking about you guys too. So Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's the country's leading infectious disease expert, said that we're still knee deep in the first wave of the virus. So what's our future? I will say this is honestly such a scary question for me that keeps me up at night. I mean, we've learned that this virus can have any number of effects on someone. Some people can be asymptomatic, not very many. Some people are out of breath for a couple of weeks. Like, I mean, I know people my age who have gotten it and shared on Instagram, and they said they couldn't go from their bed to the kitchen without being out of breath. So even young people are obviously being very affected. But that's a symptom too. There's people losing their sense of taste and smell, which is obviously a neurological side effect. And they also can experience memory loss for like months to come after having the coronavirus.
Someone who has COVID and they lost their taste and smell, and it's so terrifying.
It's so scary. I mean, that's the thing. It's like everyone thinks, or not everyone, but there's this misconception that it's just a flu or just like whatever, just a cough. But it's like, you don't know how this virus is going to affect you.
Exactly. And it's such a young virus, and it's changing so much that you're so right. Like, yeah, you might be fine, but a year or two, you might still be having lingering side effects from it. And also, I think a lot of people our age just think like, oh, I'm not going to die from it because I'm young and I'm healthy. Like, it's going to be great. But it's like, yeah, but getting COVID sucks. Like, whether you're 50, 20, 25, 80, it sucks. It really sucks. So, yeah, you're going to live. Maybe. You could also, even if you're young, like, you could still die from this. I want to make that very clear. You're not immune from it if you're young and you're going to get it. Like, no, you could still die. There's been plenty of young people, healthy young people that have died from this. But when you have COVID, thankfully we've never had it, but like when you get it, it really does suck. It feels like, I can't obviously describe it because I have never had it, but it's just like, just saying like, oh, it's not going to kill me, so like whatever, I don't care if I get COVID. Like, that's also very selfish.
Totally. And that's the thing too, it's, 100%. And that's the weird like logic surrounding this, because it's like, okay, maybe you might not die. Like, maybe you might not. You don't know, but maybe you might not. But you don't know the lasting effects, like you were saying, that it will have. I mean, I was networking with this woman, so I had a tweet, whatever, about unemployment, and we had ended up like having a conversation over the phone. And I remember like we had to reschedule a week later because she was like, I'm sorry, I took the week off because I had COVID like 3 months ago, and I was so like, I couldn't get out of bed. I was so exhausted. And this is someone in their, I think they're around 30, someone in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. She could like literally had to reschedule a phone conversation, had to take time off work 3 months after getting the virus because she did not feel well. It's like, you don't know. You really don't know. Please, 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 like everyone, I hope you are all aware of that. So we've also learned that herd immunity without a vaccine isn't going to cut it because people can get the virus more than once. We've learned that the only thing we can do as individuals is stay home, and when we do go out, wear our masks. But it's just like so many people aren't following this. So basically, we really need a vaccine. In the US, there's currently 2 ongoing clinical trials of vaccines with more than 30,000 participants. According to Dr. Fauci, the data is looking good. However, Trump has pushed for a vaccine to be made available by the end of October or just before the presidential election. And scientists and public health officials are expressing a lot of concern over this, quote, political arm twisting from the Trump administration. However, pharmaceutical companies have made a pledge to not release any vaccines that do not follow rigorous efficacy, and safety standards. So, I mean, as I said, I was talking about this last night. Actually, I might have said it before the recording, but I was just talking about this last night. Like, what do you kind of see for the future? I mean, obviously, we're not experts. We're just discussing this. But because, like, I'm just like, okay, if we all have, you know, vaccines at a certain point, or not everyone will take them, I'm sure. But if we have vaccines made available, I mean, do you think life will ever kind of go back to how it was? Like, is handshaking still gonna ever be a thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you see?
That's like, I feel like that's in a way such a loaded question.
Totally.
It's really hard to think of the future. I don't think we're going to go back to normal life for a very long time, like maybe 2 or 3 years, if ever. I think a lot of the things, because that we've had to learn because of COVID, or relearn, like washing our hands every time we touch something, stuff like that. Like, I mean, for example, like I always wash my hands, but after like going to the bathroom, after like touching something, like, you know, like I wouldn't wash it so rigorously, and I feel like that's something I'm gonna keep up. I love hugs. And I just like, I don't know if it's because I'm like Latin or because I just love like hugs. I know you don't like hugs. She hates people.
You are a hugger.
I was a hugger. And so I'm not going to be a hugger after COVID. I don't think things are going to go back to normal for a while. I feel like people are going to be living on edge. At least the people that have really been taking this seriously, I think they're going to be living on edge. I feel like the government, local and federal government, are kind of in this place where they're just like, look, if we continue to close things down, the economy is going to suck. And I think Americans sometimes forget that our economy literally controls the world. So just because, like, if we're doing bad, like, everyone else is doing bad, and obviously politicians understand this. So I think that could be part of the reason they opened everything. And, you know, Trump also had been saying, like, the economy's been great since he was president, so that obviously doesn't look good for him. So I think that's part of the reason they open things. And unfortunately, I don't see them ever shutting everything down completely unless it's like a really drastic second wave. As far as like, I feel like things are going to stay kind of how they are right now for a while, with like some people living in fear, some people taking it seriously, some people not caring. And I feel like we're going to have this COVID situation, maybe, I don't want to be negative, but like until 2022 if people don't get their shit together.
Yeah, I know. I'm like trying to imagine a scenario in which this will go away in a year. And I don't see that. Yeah. I think yeah, well into 2022, I think, God, I don't know. It's scary. It's really, I'm not going to lie, I'm scared. But
yeah,
I think the best thing we can do is, taking our own personal precautions. I mean, wearing masks, we know how important that is. And I mean, like, the thing is, like, going to restaurants, I get wanting to support a restaurant. Why not just do takeout? What's really the difference? Like, pick it up. Like, leave a hefty tip, as you should be doing if you're doing takeout. Like, I know some people are like, I know people don't do that. Make sure you're tipping all the time. But like, it's just like, there's so many different steps you can do. And the fact that people aren't doing those is just, I think, a reflection of, honestly, the government response. And people are seeing like, okay, it's okay for me to go out. I mean, Trump and Pence are together with all their workers all the time. Like, we're not seeing them social distance. We're not really, I mean, Trump wore a mask for the first time like a month ago. Like, it's just like, it's frustrating.
And at the RNC last week, there was that, like, hundreds of people there, like, listening to his speech, and most of them weren't wearing a mask, and most of them weren't social distancing. You can find the video online. Like, it's, I do agree with you in that point. Like, I do put the blame on some people, and I think I do get really frustrated because when you're taking this seriously, and I live with my parents, my mom has asthma, so she's very paranoid about COVID because she already has a hard time breathing. So if she got it would just be so difficult for her, which I totally understand. But like, it's really frustrating when you're taking it seriously and you're quarantining. You're not really going out unless it's for an essential, or you're seeing friends, but it's like the same group of friends that you also know stay home and are taking it equally seriously. It's frustrating when you see everybody go out and have fun because you're just like, this isn't fair. Like, how, like, why aren't you getting COVID? Like, I don't want you to get it, but it's like, this isn't fair. And unfortunately, like, I do kind of look at them and am kind of hard on them, but at the same time, when the government is reopening gyms, when they're reopening restaurants, they're opening beaches and parks, they're telling people it's okay to go out because COVID's better. Yeah. So they believe it, and they go out. Even if they're taking precautions, which some people are, they still do it because they're listening to the government. But the government, sure, things are getting better to them, but also they need to make money. They need to make sure the economy doesn't go to shit.
Yeah.
So there's just so many variables.
I agree, and I think that's something that, I mean, like, I think we're lucky that we kind of have that discernment, but it's just like, I don't know, like, I wonder the average person, like, who maybe doesn't consume news as much as we do, like, what are they thinking right now? And all I can think of is, I mean, our what's it called, like, our alumnus, whatever, we're alumni of San Diego State University, and they brought back people into the dorms, they told people come back, they had 200 in-person classes, and now we just found, I mean, they've been getting coronavirus cases kind of, like, they were at 40, but yet just yesterday they announced 120 new cases. And think about it, like, San Diego County as a whole, like, the past few weeks has kind of been seeing an average of around 250. That's 120 new cases just at San Diego State University in their community. So it's just like, yes, you can blame students and say, well, you guys are partying, you guys are having study groups, like, that's gonna spread it too. It's just like, how can we blame the students when the university is bringing them to come back in and come back to these in-person classes? Like, how would they know better if that's what's being told to them? And I think that's just a small example of kind of what's happening in America, and it's just so frustrating to see. It's so frustrating because I agree with you. Where I live, I need to be careful because I live with my mom and sister who both could be at risk. And it's just like, it's just so frustrating.
Just don't be selfish. Wear a mask.
Yeah, please wear a mask. My mustache is sweating because of that rant.
And that's the tea.
That is, wear a mask, stay home, you guys. Well, shall we get to our good stories of the week?
Yes. Okay. So this week, I'm going to pull my phone out so I can read the message from my best friend, Kristen.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. And while she pulls that up, you guys, make sure you send your good stories of the week every week and we may share it.
Yes. And so this one is from, like I said, my best friend, Kristen. You can follow her at @RivasKristen on Instagram. She said her good memory of the week is seeing her two best friends from middle school and elementary school. And particularly one of her friends, Anju, she's going back to London to finish grad school. She had to come back because of COVID, and she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to go back and do this grad school program. And now she is, thankfully, because things are better over there. And so she said it was really great to have a day with her two best friends. Of course, social distancing and being safe and keeping all the precautions in mind, but just being able to send her off to continue living her dream. It's just like so nice, especially when she thought she wasn't going to be able to finish. So
awesome. I love that.
So yeah, so make sure you send us your good your good stories of the week. You can send us questions too.
That too.
But, well, that does it for us. Don't forget to follow us on social. You can follow our YouTube page at What a Week. We also have a Patreon account, which we will link in the description of this video and in the Spotify and podcast areas that you listen to us. So, yeah, support us through Patreon. Donate if you can. We'd really appreciate that.
Yes, please support us, and you can find us on Instagram at What a Week Show, and you can find us on Twitter at @WhatAWeekShow_.
Thank you guys so much. Be safe, wear a mask, have a good rest of your week.
Yes, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.